Hi, I'm Anthony Alder from Alder IP, and welcome to another episode in the IP series. Today we're going to be talking about a really sort of interesting topic. We're going to be talking about freedom to operate and what a freedom to operate search is in the patent context. For patents, a freedom to operate search is a search that you have done to find out whether your product is actually overlapping or infringing or interfering with other people's IP. The problem with these kind of searches are really difficult to do. And the thing is, with most products, you have multiple pieces to those products that make up that invention. It might not just be one thing. If you take a car, for example, you might have windscreen wipers, an engine, a steering wheel, a whole host of interior adjustments and that sort of thing. Now, when we do a freedom to operate search, we have to look at all these pieces and then search for all those individual pieces to see whether they're infringing somebody else's IP. So the search is quite a difficult search to do, and particularly when you're looking in the patent database is a bit like looking for a really tiny needle in a very ginormous haystack. So it makes it very difficult to search for individual pieces or the individual thing that's relevant to us. We usually use what's called a classification search, and a classification search searches a thing by category. Now the problem is sometimes the categories are arbitrarily imposed by the patent office, and sometimes they're wrong, or sometimes they're a bit murky as to which category things fall into, particularly with machines, because you could use, say, a machine that you use for cars also on kids' toys, and they'd be in completely different categories. So sometimes we have inconsistencies with freedom to operate searches. The pro with getting a freedom to operate search is you at least find out what the landscape is. You find out what patents are the most important patents in your field, and you also find out, well, what's their scope, what's the patent claims on those, and can we avoid those problems if possible? The big con with it is the fact that those searches sometimes are fairly unreliable, the length of assumptions you have to make when you're doing those searches. The searches are really excellent for investors investing in companies, and they're quite often used for an investor to do some due diligence into a company before they acquire the company, particularly if the company is a tech company with patents. And it sort of gives the investor some understanding of where this technology sits in the landscape. Okay, which is really important. It also allows management in these firms to work out where does my patent fall? What are the key things that differentiate my invention from everything else? And that's kind of an important step. The problem is with freedom to operate searches is they're only as good as the person doing the search, or they're only as good as the information that's brought to the table. In that aspect, they're more like if you buy a piece of property and you do a property search before you buy the piece of property just to check whether it's got building problems or pest problems. Those searches, whilst they're as accurate as can be and all the care is taken as possible, they can't be 100% accurate. There is a level of uncertainty with those things. They're a good step in the right direction, but they're not the cure-all for everything. I hope this helps you out understand with what a freedom to operate search is and how they could benefit your business, particularly if you're looking to find out a bit more of the landscape in your technology space. If you have any queries about freedom to operate searches, please contact myself or the team at Alder IP, and we're more than happy to help. Thanks for listening.